Good evening, YouTube. This is Kaylin Strength coming at you with my regular Sunday night dinner. And this one is one of those that was sent by Mike Crusher. However, that was done on behalf of Aletha. I'm bringing up the chat on my tablet. So what we have, I'm going to assume that this is a 2021. It could be 2020. It just has a best buy date on here of 2023. It's be October 1st of 2023. In Europe, when something is dated, it is the day of the month, then the year. That is how most other countries do it, especially in Europe for their dating of things. This is menu 5. It is potatoes with a minced meat sauce. Older Latvian rations came in a completely different style of packaging. This is a gusseted Mylar bag. And it is heat sealed up here at the top, but the heat seal is actually below the tear notch, as opposed to right on it or right under. Yeah, see, here's the heat seal. And then on both ends, the tear notch is actually above it. So I will go get my kitchen scissors to cut this open. My little mini scissors just will not go through this. I'm cutting right on that crease. This also has a zip seal. Got Booger Butt in the house. Got Cody here, got waffles, 4PF baby. This came from Latvia. This is what the Latvian military issues to their troops. So here we have, this is a chocolate bar. It's a pretty thick one. This is honey. It's almost like the thickness is maybe the thickness of 2 credit cards. We have cranberries. We have vacuum sealed rye bread. Got a lot of things wrapped up in the. Now here's a sheet. This is in Latvian. This feels like just a napkin wrapped up. We have an accessory packet. This is, I believe, the rice porridge with strawberries. And here is the FRH with the heating element. There is a look at the heating element. It is kind of stuck in the middle of the bag. And then they put a piece of tape here. You fold the bag over after you put your entree and the water in there, and you tape it shut. And a lot of the times that tape will just pop because some of these are so explosive. Here is a cashew raisin mix. And then this is the entree itself. That is the last thing out of the bag. And it even has menu 5 on here. It's a gusseted pouch. So that is everything that is in the bag. Now the accessory pack is in a Ziploc bag. So that makes it easy to put in things that you don't use right away. You have a wood spoon or this could be a wood spoon or a bamboo spoon, I'm not sure which. This is a 20 gram, although I think it feels more like more than 20 grams. Oh, there's 2 of them, no wonder. There's 2 20-gram packs of sugar. You get a Lloyd tea bag, that's a mint tea. Gigi is here. Thanks for dropping in. Apurv Singh, welcome. I do live on disability. Well, here is a wet wipe. So you get a napkin and a wet wipe. in this. Like some U.S. rations, you get that as a rubber band. As if you did not have enough cleansing, this is a hand sanitizer. They're similar to the Purell singles. Tropical flavored power gum, so you get a piece of gum. And the last two things out of this bag are 3 Nescafe instant coffees, no creamer. So one of these will go into my Mike Crusher mug. I bring that out because he's the one who sent it to me. I'm going to drop in all the things I'm not going to use. I will save this tea bag for another day. This one does not come with a cold drink option, but I got that one figured out. I have a Canadian fruit punch. Spicy tuna rolls is here. Time and Tide is here. Thanks for dropping in. So before I get going with, I am going to go ahead and put this huge thing in my pot. To get this heating up. This is a 300 gram entree. So this is a pretty fair amount of food. And I'll be right back. I am back. I had to get a couple of additional items from my kitchen. Curious Pete is here. Thanks for dropping in. There's Cliff in the house. Because that's a 300 gram main, I'm giving that a little bit more time. That is a typical, looks like a spray dried coffee. My own sugar and creamer from my kitchen because I don't feel like opening up one of those big packs. Now I'm going to open up this porridge and I'm going to put that into this bowl. Some could treat this as like a part breakfast, part lunch, or something like that. So I will go back into the kitchen for my hot water for my coffee. Again, Mike Crusher sent this at the request of Aletha. Her channel is Kester's Corner. And I'll be right back. I put the kettle back in the kitchen just to get it out of the way. And for those just coming in, this is Latvian Field Ration Menu 5. I'm not going to put water into the porridge yet. I'm actually going to just keep that off to the side. Now I'm going to go ahead and open up everything else. There is the cashews and raisins. Now I'm going to open up the cranberries. None of these have tear notches, so I'm just cutting my own. It did say these are sweetened cranberries. Now this is a good sized chocolate bar. And it looks to be in very good shape. A little bit of blooming, but I'm very happy with it. That would be a definite morale booster to the soldier in the field. Now, other rations do have this rye bread. Even though it's vacuum sealed, there's still a little bit of give to it. And what they have done, what others do not do, something I think is very cool. I noticed when I was taking the 2 slices out of the wrapper, see this? They put a piece of plastic in between the 2 slices to make it easy to get them apart. This is the first time I've seen that done in one of these rations, and I think that is very, very cool. Very well thought out. Sometimes when you get these rye breads, they're so tight to each other that you really can't get them apart without breaking them. A little shiny on the inside, but they smell very good. These cashews appear to be unroasted. James in the house, thanks for dropping in. This is a titanium spork. You can find different brands of this all over the internet, Amazon, eBay, other sites. I got this one when Foreign MRE was selling these. I actually have a second one that I keep in my camping utensil bag. And I use this for all my reviews. Any utensils that come to rations, I save them. But these titanium sporks are very lightweight. And if these fork tines get a little bent out of shape, they're so easy to just bend back. You can see the flex in it. Welcome, Cyril. Thanks for dropping in. I do these every Sunday night at 7 p.m. U.S. Central Time. I'm in the state of Iowa. There will be times where I will not be going live, such as when my family goes on our annual trip to my late dad's favorite lake here in Iowa for a week of fishing. I'm just giving my fruit punch another stir. Again, this ration did not come with a cold drink, so I just grabbed this Canadian fruit punch out of my stash. I will save that mint tea for another day. And this came with 3 coffees. I only wanted 1. Those other 2 coffees will get saved for another day. But like I said, anything I do not use, I save. I have a whole bag full of these ration heaters. So I can use them when I need to take a retort pouch somewhere and I want to heat it up, but I don't have access to a stove or a fire or anything like that. But I do have water. I can throw a little water in the ration heater, put the retort pouch in it, close it up, let it do its thing. Plus, it's a way I can heat something up without power. If I have to be extremely careful about what I do during an emergency situation, a grid down scenario, that wood or bamboo spoon will get added to my collection of those. They may appear in other rations too. I got one out of a Norwegian Arctic field ration. And the benefit to that wood or bamboo utensil, once you're done with it and you do have a fire, you can simply burn it. There's Tim Riley in the house. Oh, these porridges can be made with either cold water or hot water. But I'm going to go ahead and go cold. I do have some water left in my bottle. And that will sit off to the side and allowed to reconstitute. It'll just sit here on my desk while I wait to get into that, then I'm going to go back into the kitchen and get my entree. I am back. This is the back side of the pouch. I thought this would be interesting to show. This could be a commercially available item in Latvia. This one was packed in, this retort pouch was packed in 2021. So I will definitely call this a 2021 ration. This is just a dome lid from my cookware. And I have a paper towel that I'm drying it off with, so it makes it easier to handle. I shake it like that just to make sure that all of the food is down below the tear notch, so that when I go to rip it across, there's no mess. See, that stands up by itself. A little bit different than what I thought it would be. I thought it would be in a dark gravy, but actually I think this is perfectly fine the way it is. That way it stands out, makes it easy to see. I got a little on the bread, but that's okay. I'll just there's carrot in here. It's like diced potatoes. And it appears to be ground beef. Hence the name minced meat sauce. There's a nice close-up of that. Got a little bit on one of the cranberries. There's not a whole lot of seasoning to this, but it doesn't taste overly salty. The potatoes are very soft. There is one of the carrots with a bit of the meat. The carrots are just slightly softer than the potato, but they don't completely dissolve in my mouth. But some of the meat chunks are pretty good size, like that one there. But overall, this is not bad. There's no spread for the bread. I'm going to go ahead and take a taste of this. I'm not getting any weird sensation in my mouth. It's got a little bit of a tang to it, but dark. These dark breads, that's just their nature. But what some may do is dip their bread into this. And they may eat it like that. There's my crusher in the house. AP is here. Welcome. There are no beans in this one. I don't know about beans on toast being a traditional Latvian food. I don't know much about Latvian cuisine, but I would guess it's very similar to Polish, German, or Lithuanian, since that's in the general part of the world where this originated from. But there are most likely other menus in their lineup that will have beans in them. It just depends on what the company that packs the rations do for their menu lineup. Ron is here. Welcome. Thanks for dropping in. 2021 pack Latvian field ration menu 5. I would say this one has held up well so far. But dipping this rye bread in this light sauce or gravy, that works for me. Now you go do that. You get some rest, John. Thanks for dropping in. You've had a heck of the last few weeks. And these cranberries are sweetened, but not overly sweetened. They're not like the osmotic ones that are in some American rations. They got a nice chew to them. DeCarlos Perry is here. Thanks for dropping in. I'm going to go for a few of the raisins that are mixed in with the cashews. Same softness. Cashews are my favorite nut, by the way. These feel like they're raw. They look like it. They have not been toasted or salted. But still a decent cashew. I will definitely enjoy finishing those off. Matthew, this is from Latvia. It is potatoes with mincemeat sauce. So it is a ground of beef in a light gravy, what looks like to be a chicken gravy. There are carrots in here, maybe some onion. This is a 300-gram portion, so about 10 ounces. The typical U.S. Amory ration entree is 8 ounces, or about 240 some grams. And you get approximately the same amount in some other countries' rations. But in some, like this, you get a larger portion, a larger entree. Sometimes it may not have as many side items, whereas this one has 5. This is a rice porridge with strawberries, and I'm letting that sit and thicken up. Hola, Yaiser. Me llamo Kaylin. Esta ración es de Latvia. Goony Buns. Yes, this does look like a very, very nice chocolate. Is a 50-gram bar. Nice snap. Very little blooming at all. That is nice dark chocolate. Tastes as fresh the day that it was wrapped. Europeans' chocolates are very, very good. A lot better than most American chocolates. And dark chocolate being my favorite, I would gravitate towards something like that. Now, this is not German. I have not had a German ration in a long time. I've only had one. I tried to buy one a few years ago, but the problem was the payment system that the seller uses to process customer payments on their end did not accept US dollar. And I had no way of converting, just having PayPal do the currency conversion. So I was not able to pay for it. It wasn't because I didn't have the funds to cover it. It's just that the payment system would not accept a dollar-based payment. So I had to tell the seller that their system is not accepting a US dollar payment. So I had to have him cancel the order. I was disappointed. I would like to try to get a German ration, but with the way things are here with US Customs, that is easier said than done. I could order from a site that does sell foreign rations, but the problem is, it's like gambling with dice. You don't know what's going to come up. You don't know if your package is going to get rated and what they'll leave you with, if anything. This would be most likely Latvian comfort food. And I like dipping this rye bread in there. Take up some of that sauce and give a little flavor to this bread, even though it already has good flavor. Welcome. Unfortunately, I cannot read the Thai language. That is not one of my linguistic experiences. But I have had some Thai rations, and I thoroughly enjoyed them. This is from Latvia. I'm going to take a taste of this Nescafe coffee with my own creamer and sugar. It's a nice medium roast coffee. The ration packer put 3 of those packets in there, so the other 2 I will save for another day. They put 2 20-gram packs of sugar in there. I'm assuming that they would probably split that up in between the 3 coffees and the tea, and maybe put some in this rice porridge. But I hold on to those sugar packets. I have gotten similar sugar packets from Russian rations, 15 or 20-gram sugar packets. And I like to put some of those in my camping food bag in what I call my brew kit. I will put some creamer packets, I'll put some sugar packets in there, along with my coffees and teas and cocoa mixes. Yep. And I keep those supplied up so that anytime I get to go camping with some friends, I don't have to pack that bag, it's already there. I do check it every once in a while. And I go on a trip, if I restock it, put fresh stuff in. I'll just address you as hi. This is actually pretty good. And when you get a ration, it may not all be top gourmet food unless you get French rations. They supply their personnel with what to a lot of us would be gourmet food. And I've had a few French rations. They are my favorites. But this one, I would actually eat this a lot. It's a dish that you could make yourself. You brown up some meat. You dice up carrots and potatoes, whatever seasonings you like. You could either make the gravy from scratch or use a mix or a jarred gravy. And then just finish cooking that up. And that's pretty much what this is. And this would be most likely considered a Latvian comfort food. Welcome, Adabisi. I hope I am pronouncing that correctly. I'm going to go for another handful of these cranberries. Bilal, welcome. I'm assuming that is Turkish. I do not know Turkish, but I will say Assalamu alaikum. That is the greeting that Muslims give to each other. It means peace be upon you or peace be with you. And then the other Muslim would say wa alaikum salam, returning the greeting. I'm going to take a drink of my fruit punch. Canadian fruit punch is so much better than the American fruit punch. I'll take that any day over that, the American one. Again, this ration did not come with a cold drink option, so I just grabbed the Canadian fruit punch from a stash. Well, I have seen some bad rations. I have had some that had completely gone to crap. I could not eat some of the entrees at all. Some, the retort pouch delaminated, literally filleted itself in the pot and then leaked into the boiling water, so those had to go. And in some others, some of the side items had already gone to crap, so I couldn't eat those. But it's still very cool to look, especially the older rations. Even if you can't eat it, it's still cool to look at ration history. A few weeks ago, I had what was called an experimental long-range patrol ration, a U.S. ration packed in 1995. The entree, a freeze-dried entree made by Oregon Freeze Dry, which we know better as Mountain House. That was absolutely perfect. There's nothing wrong with that. I would go into a store and buy that. I'm going to attempt Vu Sao. I'm assuming that is either Vietnamese or Laotian, or could be Hmong. I am not sure. I have a friend who is Laotian. She came to this country as a child, but she still speaks the language, and I believe she speaks Vietnamese. But I do apologize if I completely blew pronunciation. But I do welcome you in here. And this is raw cashews, not toasted or salted, but very nice creamy cashews with raisins. These are sweetened cranberries. This is like a pumpernickel dark rye bread. No spread came with it, but it is very good for dipping into this gravy. This is a dark chocolate bar. This ration supplied 3 Nescafe instant coffees. This is a strawberry rice porridge, which I've been letting sit off to the side while it reconstitutes. It looks like the rice and the strawberries have fully rehydrated, but there's still a little bit of the water left. I'll try some of the rice by itself. Still could use a little bit more time. I mixed this with cold water. Had I mixed this with hot, it probably would have rehydrated a little bit faster. There is a piece of strawberry. That was overshadowed by all the rice, so I'm going to try to pick up just a piece of strawberry by itself. Almost had it. There we go. Hope you got a good look at that. That's natural strawberry. I'm going to let that sit a little bit more before I eat any more of that. Go back in for some more of this. Again, if you are commenting in a language other than English or Spanish, I most likely would not know it. Although back in the 80s I did mess with French. I did mess with a little bit of Russian. I have messed with some German. And because I know Spanish, I could pick up some Portuguese and some Italian. I know a little bit of Polish. I am of Polish heritage, so I know a few words. Not a lot. And I want to improve my Arabic so I can be a better Muslim. And to be able to understand my Arabic speaking brothers and sisters more. I also know a lot of Somali, so I wouldn't mind messing with more of the Somali language. I've been a language nut pretty much most of my life. Welcome, James. There's no Salisbury here. This is Latvian. This is a rye, dark rye bread. They did not supply a spread, so what I've been doing is dipping it in the gravy and then eating it that way. $20.21 pack, Latvian field ration menu 5. Entree is potatoes with minced meat sauce. They do put English on their bags, which is nice. So in addition to the rye bread, got raisins with raw cashews, but very nice cashews, sweetened cranberries, a dark chocolate bar. This is a rice porridge with strawberry, very lightly sweetened, but I could add sugar to it if I wanted. Oh, there's Food Forest Permaculture in the house. Thanks for dropping in. So this is a fine, like a ground of beef with diced potatoes and carrots in a light gravy, a light sauce. I thought it would be in beef gravy, but this is more like a chicken style gravy. Maybe a bit of onion in here. Basic seasoning. I would probably add a little pepper. This ration did not include any condiments, no salt or pepper, no spread for the bread. But there's that packet of honey. But I am leaving that one as is. This is what the honey is packed in. It almost looks like a card. Like you could stick it in your wallet, maybe slightly longer than your standard credit card or driver's license or ID card. But with the honey inside, it's about the thickness of probably 2 cards. Very nice sturdy packaging. There is no tear notch, so you would have to cut it in order to get the honey out, and I would guess that's by design just to prevent it from leaking. That is definitely one of the most unique ways to pack a single serving of honey that I've ever seen. And the sugar packets, too, These are 20-gram packets, about the size of the packet that my fruit punch drink mix came in. And all of that was packed inside of this very thick Mylar bag. And I am keeping that bag. That is one that I can reuse. Gonna have another drink of my coffee. Tonight's mug is my Mike Crusher Reviews mug. Attack of ALK Urban Homestead. If she were in the chat, she most likely could read it and respond. But she is at home with her wife Brenda and their dogs, taking care of their chickens and their garden. Brenda is a wood carver. She makes pieces to sell. She has a small lathe that she will put a blank on to do carving of the cedar pieces that she gets, and sometimes she might get a burl from a different species of a tree, and she'll carve that. Yeah, the coffee is here. They put 3 Nescafe instant coffees in here. The other 2 will get added to my stash of instant coffee to come out another day. I may bring one out to go with the USMRE that doesn't include coffee, which seems to be more and more of them. The accessory packs are not having the coffee in them, which a lot of us reviewers are really bummed out about, except those that don't drink coffee. Ooh, Korean grilled fish? I bet that was awesome. I'll just refer to you as USA. I hope that's okay. But I have had some Korean food. I have a Korean freeze-dried entree in my stash that will make an appearance later in the year. I will decide what I want to put with it to make a meal, but I'm looking forward to trying that. We used to have a Korean restaurant here in Des Moines called the Korea House, and I went there a lot. Every time I went, no matter what else I was getting, I had to get their kimchi. It was awesome. Well, Waffles, you'll have to hit him up for that. I have a foreign MRE mug, but it broke. So the handle broke off, and when it hit the floor, it cracked. So I do not feel safe putting any liquid in it. I would love to find a replacement for it, but if I can't, well, it is the way it is. But once I got my Delicious mug from Poland, I retired the foreign MRE mug, and I've been using my Delicious mug most of the time. But sometimes my Crusher's mug will come out. The only thing about this one here, it's dark inside, so it's harder to see the contents unless you put a light colored powder in it. There are there are actually two versions of that humanitarian ration. There is the humanitarian daily ration, which first came out like 2011, 2012, 2013, and then they were brought back into production in 2021, 22. I don't know about 2020, but definitely 21 and 22, maybe 23. And then to follow that, there's one called the Survivor Daily Ration, which has very similar components to the Humanitarian Daily Ration, but different flavors, but essentially the same thing. You get 2 vegetarian entrees, you get a cookie, you get a Pop-Tart, may not be strawberry, it may be another flavor. You may get crackers, and you'll get some kind of a fruit veggie smoothie type thing, and you may get a packet of jelly and a packet of sunflower butter. They've gone away from peanut butter in a lot of these in order to accommodate anyone who may be allergic to peanuts. Or maybe other tree nuts like almonds, cashews, walnuts. But the sunflower seed, being that's it's you know it's the a seed that if you catch it at the right time when the sunflower has bloomed, you could plant those seeds and grow new sunflowers. So the humanitarian daily ration is in, I call it a salmon colored bag. It looks the similar color of cooked salmon. Whereas the Survivor Daily Ration is in a clear bag with just a menu card inside it to show the contents, and then you can see the individual pouches and packets inside that clear bag. You can buy those rations as singles or by the case, or in lots of 2 or 4 or 6 or whatever, depending on the seller. But you can find both of those online to buy. They are given out to disaster survivors, or maybe if they're sent to another country, to a refugee camp, and handed out to the people there. They may have been given out to people who are displaced by the nasty hurricanes we had last year, or the wildfires that have happened in various states. If it was more expedient to just hand out those rations as opposed to having a kitchen set up where people would go and line up for a plate of food. Yeah, it sure is. That's why I have built up a stash of instant coffees, and now I have two more that I can add. Of course, I have my bag of G7 3-in-1 instant coffees. I've been dipping into that. That's my favorite 3-in-1 instant coffee. It's originally from Vietnam. I love it. Yeah, that's a bummer that only half of them have coffee. Of course, Smokey, last week he opened up the accessory packet of the Emery that he reviewed, and there were 2 coffee packets in there, so he got lucky. He scored. That was an oops on the part of the packing line. Whoever was working the accessory packs on that particular day that one was done, somehow got 2 coffee slipped in there instead of 1. And then sometimes you get an accessory pack that is supposed to have something in it, but it got left out. And I think I had one where either the salt packet or the sugar packet was sealed, but it was empty. There was nothing in it. Yeah, that's actually not a bad price for those. Although, because they're only a few menus, you'll get a lot of repeats in that case, but if you have to share them, that would be okay. That's okay. Life happens. Last week, my stream went bonkers. It started out pretty good, and then all of a sudden, people were telling me that they could not hear or see me, but yet I was showing live. On my phone, but it was froze up on my tablet screen. I have my channel up on my tablet so I can read the chat because my phone is mounted above my tray. Otherwise, I would have to stand up to read that and cock my head sideways or take my phone down. I just don't want to do that. So it's just easier if I put it up on my tablet. Then I can just turn my old Polish noggin to the right and look at it. So then I just killed it. I put in the chat that I'm going to kill it and start a new stream, and that's what I did, and then everybody came back in. And then I went about another 2 hours with that second half, and then after I closed that one out, I just labeled it part 1, part 2, and then I put a comment in the description as to why there are 2 parts to that stream. But we have been having some system maintenance going on here for our from our cable service provider, and I have cable internet. So apparently there have been some issues going on, and supposedly some system upgrades. But we'll see how things go. See if my uploads get any faster, or if I don't have constant freeze ups when I'm in live streams. I have been having issues where I'll be in someone else's chat and it will just completely lock up on me. The video feed will not keep playing, and the chat will freeze up. And sometimes I'll get completely booted out of the stream, or just booted out of YouTube completely, and then I have to go back into it. I have had that happen a number of times. There's Shadow Scout Sweet in the house. He is closer to the source. Being there in Sweden. I like dipping this bread into the sauce. I don't know, it just works for me. It is early in the morning there in Sweden, so Shadow is up getting ready for his day. Off to the right, I've been keeping my rice porridge. It has had time to soak up more of the water. It needed a little bit more time. I tasted the rice is still a bit too firm. Now it's got the right texture to it. Not a whole lot of sweetness in this. So if I wanted to, I could put sugar in here. But being that this is the first time I have had this, I just choose not to, because I want to find out what the flavor is on its own. It has tiny bits of strawberries in here. If I wanted to, I could put some of the raisins in here, taking them away from the cashews. That would add to the sweetness without adding the sugar. Well, that would be another way of doing it. Shadow will get his coffee. Got a Canadian fruit punch in my drinking jar. This ration did not come with a cold drink option. Kind of makes me curious why. I don't know, would the soldier in the field just drink water, or would they supply their own drink mixes, or maybe an electrolyte drink mix, depending on what kind of activity they're into, their level of activity. That could be one thing that they do. You probably just hit the caps by mistake. It happens. A Monday morning here in the US. Monday is what we call Memorial Day here. It is a day where people are supposed to remember those soldiers who have given their lives in the line of duty, whether it be at home or deployed in another country. Or who may be injured while on duty but then died sometime later. So it is a major federal holiday here, so the banks will not be open. There is no mail service. Some cities do not run their public transit systems like here in Des Moines. So no city buses here. No state government offices open. Essential services like police, fire, EMS, emergency response, services like that will obviously be running. But other than that, no other government, non-emergency government services. And of course, people who have city trash pickup, their trash bins will not be emptied. Same with their recycle bins if they put them out. My apartment complex has a private contractor empty our dumpsters, so we have our dumps usually on Tuesdays. We used to have a Tuesday and Friday dumps, but we've only been having Tuesday dumps for some time. And I'll tell you, our dumpster is overloaded. But for those city trash and recycling pickups, tomorrow here in the US, that will not happen if your normal pickup day is on a Monday. Now this tray I found on eBay. It probably looks similar to some cafeteria trays that may be found in various places. But I wanted it because it was green. I saw it on another channel. I enjoyed his content, but I have not seen anything from him for quite some time. But he uses the exact same tray. So I wanted one for myself, so I got it. The only other tray I had been using up until then was a Tupperware lunch tray I bought way back in 1983. Yeah, from what I understand how prison and jail trays work, I've explained this before. They're a stackable tray, and you got the tray on the bottom of the stack. Then each subsequent tray acts as a lid for the one below it. And then to top off the stack, they either just have the one lid that goes onto the top tray of the stack, or they just put an empty tray. And that is supposed to keep the food warm until it gets to the particular housing unit in the jail or prison that that stack is destined for. That's completely different than a hospital tray where you get just a flat tray with individual dishes that would have their own covers. Yeah, this is a 2021 pack, Latvian field ration, menu 6. This is ground beef, potatoes with minced meat sauce. So there's carrots in here, maybe bits of onion, and a light chicken style gravy as opposed to a dark beef gravy. But just basic seasoning. I would eat this any day. This could be considered Latvian comfort food, I'm guessing. This is a dark pumpernickel rye bread. They did include a spread in here, so I have just been dipping it into the sauce and then eating it like that. But you do get a good amount of fruit. You got cranberries, you get additional protein from the cashews, which they paired with raisins. It would be nice if the cashews were roasted and salted, but as they are, they're fine with me. Cashews are my favorite nuts, and I will enjoy finishing them off. James, if you put kits like that together, that could also work as your your base for a camping or a hiking pack. You can have something like that. They don't take up much space in the pack, and you can still have what you need to get the job done. This is a dark chocolate and a very high quality one. I do not know how much this ration costs to purchase. All I know is it was purchased from another ration reviewer along with a whole box of other stuff and then sent to me to open up on camera. So the guy this came from already had this Latvian ration here in the US. I also got a couple more Canadian rations, so I have 3 of them. I have a Polish ration that I have had previously, and I have a British vegetarian 24-hour ration. I have some halal certified USMREs. I have some 2024 pack USMREs case B, menus 13 through 24. But I sent 3 of them off in a trade for a ration cold weather, which predates the meal cold weather, the US version of a winter ration. This is actually a Canadian fruit punch drink powder mix. This ration did not come with a cold drink option, so I just grabbed this Canadian fruit punch out of my stash. But this one did include 3 Nescafe instant coffees. No creamer, but they put 2 20-gram packs of sugar, and I really didn't feel like opening up one of those just for one coffee, so I just got creamer and sugar out of my kitchen to add to this. But it's a good medium roast coffee. The other 2 will get added to my stash and may come out another day. And then here is a rice porridge with bits of strawberry, and then I threw in some of the raisins in here. You could do these porridges with either hot water or cold water, and I did this one with cold because I just wanted to see how that one would come out and how long it would take to reconstitute. The raisins I put in will add a little bit of sweetness. That way I can save my sugar packets for another day. I have gotten similar sized sugar packets out of Russian rations that I've reviewed. And I find those perfect for putting into my camping food bag, into my brew kit. I like the Canadian fruit punch better than the American. It doesn't have that funky color. Now the tropical punch that you get in some US rations, that's got too much funk for my liking. Even if it was packed yesterday, it would still have too much funk for my liking. So I would be happy to have the Canadian version any day. Would be nice if the cashews are roasted and salted, but as they are, they're still perfectly fine. Even though everything in here was in, well, the three of the sides were in clear packaging, this heavy-duty bag gave excellent protection. This is a seriously thick Mylar bag. That's the thickness of bag you want when you're repackaging dry food for long-term storage. And you can buy Mylar bags that are gusseted like that. I have used a few of those in the past when putting dry food in them for long-term storage. And now I have another one because I will use that ration bag for that purpose. It's got a Ziploc. So when I get a bag like that I can reuse without having to clean out, I'll do that. Thanks for dropping in, Waffles. And Waffles sent me the case B. Earlier this month. The three menus that I traded off for the Ration Cold Weather all have pork entrees in them, and because I don't eat pork, I thought that would be a good trade value for the Ration Cold Weather, and the guy who wanted to do the trade was perfectly fine. And the Italian sausage and the maple flavored pork patty, he said those were his favorites. The other one was the pizza, pepperoni pizza, so he got that one as well. And then I threw in some Iowa made products just for the heck of it. I sent him a packet of Amana beef jerky, a Twin Bing chocolate mound over a cherry flavored filling that's made here in Iowa. Amana is also here in Iowa. And then Big Daddy's mild barbecue sauce. I sent a bottle of that. Big Daddy used to have a restaurant here, but then after he died, his family didn't think that they could keep the restaurant going and maintain the quality that Big Daddy wanted. But they keep the sauce going, and so I bought those in a local Hy-Vee store. That is a grocery store chain that is actually headquartered in West Des Moines, Iowa, which is a suburb of Des Moines. So finding those three Iowa products I thought was a perfect way to fill out that box. And then when he got it, he said that he got into that beef jerky and the Twin Bing right away. And the barbecue sauce he used the next day when cooking some meat on the grill. It was just something I wanted to do, just to kind of fill out that box, make it a little more fun. Now Shadow can get a proper start to the day because he's got his coffee. I finished off the cashews. Again, I got some of the raisins in my rice porridge. Now this bread would be good, probably just toasted with a little bit of butter on it, but I'm enjoying dipping it into this sauce. Yep, Hy-Vee has expanded into some surrounding states. I think Minnesota, Indiana, Illinois, for certain. They may be in Nebraska and northern Missouri. I'm not sure. but I wouldn't be surprised. Loosely welcome. Thanks for dropping in. You're looking at what is left of my Latvian field ration menu 5. I've just finished off the dark rye bread. The cashews are gone. There are raisins with the cashews, but I put some of the raisins in this rice porridge, which has tiny bits of strawberry. So that is what in this bowl. We've got cranberries here, dark chocolate here, very awesome dark chocolate. Got Nescafe coffee with my own creamer and sugar from my kitchen. This one did not come with a cold drink option, so I got a Canadian fruit punch drink to have. Yeah, this ration was packed in 2021, so not as long of a shelf life as some other rations, but being that this one is 4 years old, I'm very happy with it. I mixed this with cold water. I could have done it with hot, but I wanted to try cold water. It takes longer to reconstitute with cold water, but it still came out perfectly fine. Yeah, Hy-Vee prices are pretty up there, but sometimes you have to go with what is conveniently located. Being that I take buses everywhere, I am more likely to dip into a Hy-Vee than to take a longer bus ride to go to Walmart or Fairway or Price Chopper. To get some things. There's a Hy-Vee right around the corner from my mosque, so that is very handy. We've had to dip in there a number of times to get stuff during Ramadan. So we do give them the business. Of course, I dip into halal groceries to buy some of my stuff, like my halal meats and some spices and some other things that I like to get. I get them there because sometimes there's just no other place to get those specific items. Or I'm in there, they have those items that I want, so I get them while I'm in there. I knew they were in at least the surrounding states, but I just haven't looked up which states, but They're probably looking to, I wouldn't be surprised if they want to expand even more. And just for the heck of it, just because I can, I just put some of the cranberries in here. These cranberries were sweetened, so gives this plain looking rice porridge a little bit more color. Heck, I wouldn't be surprised if the soldier in the field would do this exact same thing. Assalamu alaikum, Yusuf. Welcome, thanks for dropping in. This is a Latvian Field Ration Menu 5, packed in 2021. I've eaten most of everything here. I have a little bit of the main entree, which is, it's a ground beef in a sauce with diced potatoes and carrots and some bits of onion in a light sauce or gravy. And I have been thoroughly enjoying this. It's not too salty. Although if I get this again, I would probably want to throw a little more pepper in there, but as this is, I'm very happy with it. The rye bread, the dark rye, the pumpernickel rye, that's gone. I ate both of those pieces. I got Nescafe instant coffee with my own creamer and sugar from my kitchen in here. Good medium roast. This ration did not come with a cold drink option, so I have a Canadian fruit punch in my drinking jar. That is a very, very high quality dark chocolate. Cranberries here. I threw some of the cranberries in my rice porridge with strawberry bits. I had thrown some of the raisins that were in with the cashews earlier. But to give this otherwise plain rice a little bit of sweetness and color, I reconstituted this in cold water. I could have done it in hot, but I wanted to experiment and see how it would do with the cold water. This bowl really does not sit well on this tray, so I've been keeping it off to the side. If I would have used a different tray, the bowl probably would have sit better on here, but because of the number of side items, I chose this tray here, which I found on eBay. But I believe this dish would be Latvian comfort food. Something that a soldier would love to rip into on a cold day. This is a flameless ration heater that was supplied. The heating element looks to be a little bit bigger than one in a USMRE flameless ration heater. And it appears to be permanently stuck into the middle of this bag instead of going all the way down to the bottom. And they include a piece of tape that you would peel off. You cut open the bag. You put your retort pouch with your entree in it into the bag. Put the water in up to this black line here. You fold this over, put the tape on it. You shake and make sure that all four sections of this element get wet, and then it's supposed to cause the reaction to heat up the retort pouch. I could have done that, but I save all these because I want to keep these in case I have to use them in an emergency situation where I cannot cook on my electric stove top, use a microwave, or even cook outside on my little deck with a camp stove or my twig stove. But I would still want to heat something up that's small enough to either put in the bag or wrap this around it. I could heat something up without creating any kind of scent that could give away the fact that I am having a warm meal. Or I could take these on the go. I would put my retort pouch, this flameless ration heater bag in my pack, or whatever bag I'm carrying stuff in, along with some water, go to my destination, do my thing, take my lunch break, use that flameless ration heater to heat up my food, and I have done that. The first time I volunteered doing kids crafts for the White Eagle Multicultural Powwow, I did exactly that. I had an MRE, a US MRE bag. I had my retort pouch with my halal, I think it was a beef stew or something like that. I don't remember what it was. The flameless ration heater. I threw that retort pouch in the heater bag, put some water in it, and then put that inside of the MRE bag. Just had that going down on my feet while I was helping a kid do a craft. And then I told my partner that, my food is ready, I'm going to go ahead and eat it. So I did. I did not know at that time that there was food provided for the volunteers. Being that it was my first time doing that, I figured I would just be on the safe side, bring my own food, because I had no idea what would be over there if it is something that I could eat that didn't have pork in it. And it was pretty busy around the kids' craft tables, so it was just more convenient for me to do that, and that's what I did. I'd say for my first time having a Latvian ration, I will definitely take it over some US MREs. Last week I had one of the new US MRE menus, the chicken stir fry. I could see a few improvements made to that one, and it would be even better. Yep, exactly. You could use it. You could use this thing as a body warmer because it has such a big element. If I wanted to, I could put this under a small container, a heat-proof container of food in my little insulated lunch bag, put that on top of this thing, and get that going, zip up that lunch bag, take that to where I'm going, and then when I get there, when it came time for the lunch break, I could have some hot food. Or at least decently warm food. But that is one reason why I like to hold on to these flameless ration heaters. I never know when I could need them. And that would go for everything else that was in here. There's one of the 2 instant coffees. There's hand sanitizer, a wet wipe, and a dry wrapped napkin. That spoon is either wood or bamboo. I have a few other utensils like that. This will go in that bag with them. This honey pack I did not open. I think that is a very cool way to pack a small amount of honey and keep it contained. The 2 sugar packets, there's a rubber band, there's a piece of gum, and a tea bag, plus the two coffees. This is the same type of bag that you would find in Lithuanian rations or in Norwegian Arctic field rations. You'll find this 1 liter bag. You could purify water in it. You could keep things dry that you want to keep dry. You could use it to pack out trash and seal it up. And because this bag itself has a zip seal, you could do the same thing. This is a heavy-duty Mylar bag, and I plan on reusing it. Yeah, it's nice to have a bunch of people in here, especially those who have not been in here before. Maybe this is their first time watching a ration review. and I hope they come back for more. Next Friday, I will not be live. At my mosque, we will be having nightly dinners for 9 nights. On the Islamic calendar, it will be the first 9 days of the month called Dhul Hijjah, which is the month where people go to Mecca and Saudi Arabia to perform the Hajj rituals, and then a shorter version of that called Umrah. People go there. They can do that any time of the year. They can go to Mecca and perform the Umrah rituals any time of the year. Extra blessing if you do that during Ramadan. And I know a few people from here who did just that. But Dhul Hijjah is the month of the Hajj pilgrimage, and it takes several days to complete all of those rituals, the different activities. And then the 10th day is called Eid al-Adha, which is usually for those that have the ability to do that, to slaughter an animal in a specific manner or have it done for you. Then the meat would be distributed between your immediate family, some other people, and then the third share goes to people in need who may not get any meat at that time of the year. So some people will pay money to a charity, and then that slaughter of the animal is done on behalf of the donor in another country, and then all that meat stays there local in that country. Say if I paid money to have it done in Somalia, all the meat would stay in that Somali community where it was done. But I have been the recipient of lamb or goat meat from someone else's slaughter, or some call it sacrifice. And I joined up with a couple other people another year and sent money to Somalia or some other country. I don't remember where it went, but that meat stayed in that country where the animal was slaughtered, and those who donated the money to have it done still get the blessing for doing it, even if we had someone else do it on our behalf. Welcome, Deborah. I am in Iowa. This is my living room in my small apartment. I'm about done with this Latvian field ration. I'm going to finish off this rice porridge with bits of strawberry that I added raisins and cranberries to, just because I could. There you can see a couple of the cranberries. To cut my coffee in came from Mike Crusher, the one who sent me the box that this Latvian ration came in. On behalf of a woman here in Iowa, another ration lover, Aletha, she asked Mike to put a box together of specific items, so he did, and that's what this Latvian ration came in. So this is menu 5. The entree, the potatoes with minced meat sauce, basic seasoning. I would be happy to eat it any day. Even though the potatoes and the carrots were a bit soft, they did not completely dissolve in my mouth. I also picked up bits of onion in it. The sauce was like a light cover, like a chicken gravy. I had 2 slices of the pumpernickel rye bread. It was vacuum sealed, but what they did was they put a piece of plastic in between the 2 slices so that when you got the outer wrapper off, you could easily separate the slices from each other. And when I've gotten them from other countries, in rations from other countries, they did not have that plastic piece in between the 2 slices, and it was hard to get them apart. But what the Latvian ration packer did, that was a very smart idea. Then I had cashews with raisins. The cashews are not roasted or salted, but still very good. I put some of the raisins in this rice porridge. The last few pieces of cranberries went into here. This is a very, very good dark chocolate. That's why I'm saving it for last. No, and people have to think before they say things like that, because when you're in a prison, you wouldn't have access to a camera or cell phone or the internet. You just have to think logically about that. Also, this ration did not come with a cold drink, so I got a Canadian fruit punch for my drinking jar. I will take this any day over the American version. I think the American red drink mixes need to go and something else done with them. But the Canadian one, yeah, I'm happy with it. This bowl I have brought out several times. I would either put a soup in it or a pudding in it, something that would be too large to put in this section of this tray. I do have one for an entree that will require a bigger bowl than this. In fact, what I may end up doing with that one, I just may empty it out of the pouch it's in and just heat it up in the pot and then pour it into a bigger bowl. And that will do for that. Mike Crusher Reviews. This cup had to come out today since he's the one who sent me this ration. This Latvian dark chocolate. European dark chocolates are so much better than American ones. Oops. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Let me fix that. Yep, I did not mean to pin that, so I took care of that. I do apologize for that. That's why I have modified several people. Sometimes it's not very easy for me to deal with the trash. I'm a mod on other channels, but sometimes I prefer to defer that to people with better internet connections if they're doing it on their computer, because I'm on my tablet. Sometimes things like to jump in the chat, so I can't always get to it, or I do something to someone else instead of the person I wanted to do something to. So I usually just let others handle it. I want a family-friendly channel, respectable comments, yeah, I want it to be enjoyable for everybody. And that's what most YouTubers want. That's what you call a power nap. You're just not taking your power nap in the middle of the afternoon, holed up in some cubicle or office with the door shut. It is 9:31 U.S. Central Time here in Iowa. Some people are getting their day going if they're on the other side of the pond. And for others, it's about bedtime. I finished off that awesome dark chocolate. See, this ration here, I would definitely recommend it. If you can find this menu, I'd say go for it. I'm glad Mike Crusher had it to send to me. I've always wanted to try a Latvian ration, and now I have. So again, next Friday, because of what we got going in the mosque, I will not, or next Sunday, I will not be live. I will toss up a community post. So June 1st, I will not be live. But on June 8th, I will. And I got something special for that. Remember, I mentioned the Ration cold weather. The guy I did the trade to get that wanted to know when I would be opening it up. So I will send a message. Telling him when I will be opening it up. I think he has subscribed to my channel, I'm not sure. He enjoys rations, but he only does photo reviews on Facebook. But he does watch YouTube reviewers. But that Ration cold weather, I have been wanting to get one for some time, and I finally did. So June 8th. So those, and then the Sunday after that, I will dedicate to that Ration cold weather. And I think that is going to be one awesome pair of Sunday dinner streams. And I hope to see a whole bunch of people here for that. But tonight was a good one as well. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Again, welcome to all those who have come here for the first time. There are so many other ration reviewers on YouTube. More people are getting into it. It's cool to see that. Everybody has their own take on things. Everybody has their own taste, what they like and what they don't like. You know, some are a little bit more adventurous than others when it comes to food. But as I said earlier, even if you cannot eat a ration, especially if it's old one, just to look at a piece of ration history is awesome enough. And I hope to get into a few more older ones. The MCI or Meal Combat Individual, which predates the brown bag US MREs. I've had a couple of cans from that time, but those are just single cans. The B2 can that I had crackers and some hot cocoa mix, perfectly preserved, absolutely nothing wrong with them. Then I had a canned bread that unfortunately was not edible, but even though I couldn't eat it, it was very awesome to look at it, just to see what the soldier in the field would have had access to in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, up to the time that the brown bag MREs got into circulation. But there's so much out there in the ration world, both military and civilian. There's just so much to explore. It's just getting some of these things easier said than done, but if you can find an interesting gem like I did with that experimental long-range patrol ration, I could eat the main entree, I could drink one of the instant teas, I still have the other one. Unfortunately, the coffee was compromised. The 2 bars had gone to crap, but nevertheless, it was still awesome to look at those. But that early freeze-dried entree that was made by Oregon Freeze Dry, which we now know as Mountain House, that was perfect. Very well preserved in the way that it was packaged. In fact, I would like Mountain House to put that teriyaki rice with beef out into the retail market for anybody to buy. Because I would definitely buy a bag or 3. Yeah, it was that good. And I used my 1983 Tupperware lunch tray for that one. Because when you get a Mountain House entree or something from a Norwegian Arctic field ration or any other cold weather or Arctic ration where you have the freeze-dried entrees, fully reconstituted, that will make a mountain of food. And for those that watch from the beginning or will watch the replay later, 300 grams just barely fit in this section of this tray. And there's still a tiny bit left in the pouch, which I obviously couldn't get out. But my Mountain House or Oregon freeze-dry entrees, they would require more space. But if you can get a hold of something like that or anything interesting, I would definitely go for it. I'm about to knock the rest of this back. This does leave a red tinge in my drinking jar, but nowhere near as bad as what the U.S. Amory red drink mixes do. Again, all these items that I did not use tonight, they get added to my stash. They're part of how I prepare for emergency situations. All of the utensils that I get from rations or I bring home when I go to, this coming Wednesday, I will go to a transit rider advisory committee meeting. If we get a boxed lunch that has utensils in it, the ones that I do not use come home with me. And they get added to my stash of disposable utensils that I have. So in the event that I have to severely restrict my water usage, and I don't want to take a lot of water that I could use for drinking or food prep or personal hygiene, something like this or a plastic one, they would get used. That way I toss it, I don't have to use a lot of water to clean it. Same with the wet wipes and this napkin. It gets added to my stash. And that's how I build up supplies like that. That way I have them in case I need to use them. They go along with the disposable cups, plates, and bowls that I have. And this paper towel that I used to dry the main entree pouch, it's still clean. I'll use it again before it gets tossed. Because that's just what I do. But since I've finished everything off, I'm going to go ahead and call this one done. I want to thank all those who hung out with me tonight. I hope it was enjoyable seeing what the Latvian soldier in the field gets to eat. At least one example of it. I'm hoping that this menu is still in their current lineup because I would get it again. I will be back in 2 weeks on June 8th for 2 Sundays of vintage ration awesomeness. I hope you all come back to check that out. I'll go ahead and call this one done. Thanks all for watching and catch you on the flip side.